Say when, mate. Good evening and welcome. Well, all the good things have to come to an end, and tonight we have the final round of GT3 Season 2, live and exclusive on the iRacing UK Twitch channel, brought to you via iRacing, the world's premier motorsport simulation. Who are iRacing UK? Well, we are a group of enthusiastic and inclusive racers from across the UK who like to run social races, practice sessions, leagues, but most importantly, share our experiences and our passion for sim racing. I'm Tim Cox, and joining me tonight is once again the delightful Nick Motion Lotion Allen. We are in Europe and begin the final countdown to the last round of GT3 from a track that began live back in 1925 as an unemployment relief project and went on to become an icon to drivers and fans alike across the globe. Today, we race at the Nürburgring Nordschleife combined, which takes in the Grand Prix and, of course, as the name suggests, the Nordschleife for 15.8 miles or 25.4 kilometers of pure racing mecca. As always, we'll be taking your questions throughout the broadcast, and so feel free to drop your messages in there. I see we've already had a new follower, NEO Fungus. Thank you for that. Really appreciate that one. And obviously, we love to hear from everyone, so feel free to drop your chat messages into the chat, who you're supporting, who you think is going to come out victorious tonight, and potentially who's going to win relevant championships. So after a 2-week hiatus for the season finale, we have all 4 classes, so Rookie, Am, Pro-Am, and Pro, all taking to the track at the same time. Nick, everyone's talking about how close it is at the top of the championship, especially for Pro category at the moment, as we enter the final round of the season. And we've got obviously James Armstrong and Aidan Shadbolt fighting out at the top there. Who's your favourite to take the championship?
Well, good evening, Tim, and good evening to all of our viewers out there on Twitch this evening. As you mentioned, it is neck and neck. It's really close at the top of the table at the moment, with James Armstrong just 4 points ahead of Aidan Shadbolt at the moment. So my money's really on James, given the times that we've seen him put in compared to a lot of the other guys out there this evening. Now, that is the pros that you're looking at for the most part. That now the guys lower down the field that you want to be looking out for are people like Dom the Dominator Roberts, who again, he's been absolutely in the thick of it this evening, putting in fast times in qualifying, and look at that points advantage that he's got there ahead of the other guys in the Pro-Am category. So Dom Roberts, absolutely one to watch. I'm pretty sure he's going to be able to run away with it this evening, Tim, and give us some fantastic laps, mixing it with the best of them at the front of the grid.
Yeah, obviously, see from the championship standings there, Dom has already taken the crown for the Pro-Am category, and we've seen some absolutely stunning performances from Dom. And like you say, he's just been an absolute dominator. He's been up there mixing it with the pros and just getting involved and fighting for the lead overall as well. And it's been really good to see that we've had a lower category driver able to mix it up there with the pros. And we'll come up with the AMs and the Rookies Championship standings shortly. Just to mention, El Neil, thank you for the subscription, sir. Really appreciate that one, and that probably leads us quite nicely on to just mention about subscriptions. Obviously, if you can hit the heart shape icon to follow ourselves, so you can stay up to date. Obviously, ping up on your phone and computer for all of our broadcasts. And also, if you'd like to drop us a subscription, you can do that obviously in a few ways. Obviously, if you have a Amazon Prime account, you can utilize the free Prime subscription that you get, or alternatively, you can just drop us a normal subscription. Either way, we really appreciate them, and they help to keep this community free and put from all the hard work that's put in and the money that's put in, obviously from the administrators and obviously ourselves as well, really, as a production team. And it just ensures it keeps it free and brings more great quality content. Now, obviously, Nick, we've just sort of thinking back really throughout the championship, we've seen some absolutely epic battles all season long across all 4 categories, really. Any highlights for yourself?
Well, to be honest, just there's been so many to pick from. We were talking just before the race, weren't we, about some of the lowlights, you could almost say, actually, with some of the incidents that we've seen. One for me that was a real shocker was in the late laps of the Monza race, where I can't. There was a moment in the Parabolica where our leaders ended up getting a car boxed in, which just meant that those guys ended up going over the line almost side by side, a whole trio of cars. It was incredible to see into the last laps. We've had incredible moments in early laps like at Alton Park, where on the start finish straight we saw Audis having contact. Aiden Shadbolt involved in a small incident there, which turned into be a much larger affair with Tim Darracott getting involved in the Mercedes. So we've seen absolute drama at points. Now, it's not just about the drama, it's some of the commanding races that we've seen from some of these guys. People that have been really low down the grid after incidents, for example, like Dom Roberts, who we've seen have incidents in some of these races, and they really do put in the hero drive to claw their way back up the grid and gain those essential points. James Armstrong, we mentioned already, an absolutely fantastic set of races from him so far, which has obviously put him in the position he is now as the leader going into this final race. I've got a lot of highlights. I'm sure we'll pick up on a few things as we cycle round the grid and see some of the drivers out on track. Will be a few things to evoke memories later on this evening.
Oh, definitely. I think we're not going to be short of action if the previous 5 rounds have been anything to go by. NX Deficient, thank you for coming in there with the subscription. I really appreciate that one. And, well, I think we've seen, obviously, tactics as well play a part, Nick, throughout the season, with drivers utilising the undercut and overcut as well. And, well, we'll come on a bit later in the show at what was my favourite moment of the season. And so we've got, just looking with around about 8 minutes left to go of the warm-up. Qualifying's already taken place. We'll run you through the grid shortly of the drivers. So this week, a little bit different as opposed to previous weeks where the drivers were split out into their relevant categories. This week it's completely mixed up. So where they qualified is where they will start on the grid. We've got it just pinged up there, Nick. Do you want to take us through the qualifying results?
Absolutely. So at the top of the table, you've got James Armstrong, a commanding 8:05. He's a second quicker than anybody else on track so far this evening. So fantastically strong performance from him, which is obviously going to give him a leading advantage into the start of this race. You've got to be able to hang it together for the entire thing, though, and whether we'll be able to manage those 8:05s all night long, we are yet to see. Following him, we've got John Hitchin, and then you've got Dom Roberts, who we spoke about earlier. Dom really mixing it up there with the big boys, trying to assert his dominance at the top of the table, followed by then Nick Print, who comes up 3 seconds behind our leader at the moment. Alberto Gravili's in 5th, followed by Aiden Shadbolt. And then we've got Cy Anthony in 7th in his Ferrari, followed by Charlie Bebb, one that we won't be able to miss out there on track this evening with that fluorescent logo, fluorescent livery that he has on the BMW M4 GT3. So Charlie's done some fantastic performances throughout this season. He's also had his fair share of bad luck with a few shunts here and there, which have sent him down the field or getting involved in battles that maybe have just put him to a slight disadvantage in some races. But otherwise, some really consistent and great driving from him. Tim Darracott, who we mentioned earlier, who got caught up in the Alton Park mess, he comes in 9th this evening. And then you've got Cy Bell, Chris Hitchin, Rob Armstrong, Bradley Hulse, Murray Luca in 14th, and then Sean Joe. Sean Joe, we've seen a lot of action from, sometimes for good reasons, sometimes for bad reasons, a couple of incidents, but also some really heroic quick laps from Sean Joe throughout this season. In 16th, we've got Gary Bacon, and he's followed by Colin Wynn. Colin, one of the other members who races quite frequently in the Radicals at a Monday night when we run a practice session for the community. Ben Brody comes up in 18th, followed by Stu Bickley. Stu had a spin in Interlagos at turn 6 in the last race. Let's see if he can hold it together this evening on Nords to bring in a bit of a final performance in this last round of the league. And then in 20th, we've got Neil Smith. And then finally at the bottom there in 21st, Lee Green.
So, Nick, just touching on, obviously, you say about Radicals. I understand that's coming back for season 2 in the community. I know you hold Radicals very close to your heart. I think it's going to be a Thursday night as it was last year. Sorry, last
Yeah.
season.
I believe that's currently the case. Yeah, we held a little vote to see if there was some interest within the community, and I think we had a pretty commanding 20+ drivers who were interested in going for a season 2, which will follow the official iRacing series every 2 weeks on a Thursday. So yeah, that will be getting started mid-June when the next season of iRacing commences. So that's going to be fantastic. The action was fast and furious. We're also looking for TCR drivers as well, Tim, to start some driving and some leagues within the TCR series. We've had a lot of interest internally, but we're also looking to recruit in additional members to take part in said league. So if you're interested in TCR, let us know in the comments or head over to the Facebook page, which is facebook.com/iRacingUK.
So, in terms of the recruitment for new leagues, just to make you aware, for season 3, which really isn't too far away now for GT3, drivers that took part during season 1 and season 2, the recruitment is now open and they're able to join the league. And shortly after that, in around about a week or so, a couple of weeks' time, we'll then be taking new members on board, which that'll be taking part every other Sunday, alternative Sundays to the Porsche Cup season that's due to start up. And Nick, I know you're going to be commentating on that one, and that's going to be a really interesting one with heat races and plenty of action from start to finish, I'm sure.
Absolutely, yeah. It's going to be nice and consistent. We'll have the same cars across the whole of the field, so it'll be really down to the drivers and their knowledge of the track and how to hold those Porsches on the tarmac. So it's going to be great stuff to watch, especially given that we've got those shorter kind of sprint heat races, which could have a lot more quick, fast-paced action in the early laps, hopefully.
Rusty Racing, thank you for coming in there with subscribe for 2 months. Thank you for that. Really appreciate that one. So, just mention the Porsche Cup League and Porsche Cup Challenge as it's being formally named. We've got a nice little promotional video that will be shown for that after the race tonight. We've got around about 3 minutes left of warm-up, so not long to go now until lights out. Just another one thing we have going on during the community, every Friday night we have Friday Fun. Nick, it's something we've both taken part in numerous times, and it's like the name suggests, it's a bit of fun. There's nothing up for grabs in terms of points or leagues. It's very much it's an arrive and drive type event. The guys, Trevor Davis and Richard, they put on absolutely all sorts. It's normally free races on a Friday night, starting at around about 8 o'clock, and we've had absolutely everything from skippies on a dirt oval to the pro trucks around. Was it Charlotte Roval we did that around, Nick?
Charlotte Roval. I think the Radicals have had oval races as well. We've done all sorts of stuff within that, and we've had some day into night racing as well. So these guys, they really do like to come up with some creative ideas. So if you're a member already and you want to contribute to the Friday Fun lineup and schedule in the future, make sure you get your comments into the Twitch stream chat right now, or you can also hit us up on the Discord community. Let us know what you want to see on those Friday Funs, and I'm sure Richard and Trev will be more than happy to accommodate your needs.
Oh, definitely. And just worth mentioning, if you'd like to join our community, you can head across to our Facebook page, which is obviously facebook.com/iRacingUK. Or alternatively, we're also on Instagram and Twitter. You can follow us there on IRUK_teams. It helps to stay up to date with all the latest events from the community. And Nate, as you mentioned, we've got so many leagues starting up. I know there's other bits in the pipeline as well, and it just goes to show, absolutely. Well, it's just looked up on my screen. We'll go through all the followers and subscriptions we've had. Thank you for those. And yeah, it's just constantly new bits always popping up. It's a really innovative community, and everyone's so friendly and willing to help. An absolute vast array of different levels of ability and setup. So you've got everyone from like 300 or 400 iRating. People who've just joined, only just started on iRacing. I know I joined the community not long after it. After I'd started on iRacing, and all the way up to, wow, we've got guys with 4, 5K iRatings who've been on iRacing, 10 years or more. And it's a real vast array of different levels of experiences, different ability levels.
It's true, and that really shows through on a track like Nordschleife this evening. I mean, just looking at practice earlier, the difference in pace and confidence here is really noticeable. You see some of the guys in the AM and the rookies. You can find them with faster cars coming up really quickly behind them and getting stuck behind those less confident drivers, which is, I think, where we're going to see some of the incidents come in tonight, with people being a bit quicker maybe than the guy in front, and then maybe they're being braking points earlier in the laps that they're not expecting, and that's where we're going to see some of the incidents and that difference of ability and confidence. So we do, as you say, have a very wide range of skills, and that can be shown by the split of strength of field between the classes that we have here this evening.
So Stu2112 coming in there with some gift subs. I know the guys there, they'll be really appreciative of that one. Slow and Furious, just subscribe. Thank you for that one. Bradders P70, Results May Fairy 56, subscription, Little White Girl, and Kezia _just. Thank you for your subscriptions. Really appreciate those ones. We've got not long to go now. The driver's going to be starting to take the grid, of course. Being GT3, it's a rolling start behind the pace car, which is obviously the Porsche 911, and I know that's going to be one of the new GT3s coming to iRacing soon as well, so that's definitely going to be one to look out for. And I'm sure some of the drivers, Nick, I imagine they'll be taking up that car for Season 3 as well, which might help to split some of the Ferraris. The Ferrari very, very popular within the league.
Absolutely, yeah. The Porsche should be my replacement for the Mercedes, I think, when it comes to GT3s next time around.
Yes, I know it's a car that's been crying out for within the community of iRacing as a whole. Just looking at the chat, I see I've spotted the first of the messages from the Sanfords, who normally come out in force to support Rob. Rob's starting a little bit more back towards the end of the grid, but we've not seen Rob all season long. Yeah, we've got 36 drivers, and I'm sure Rob's currently, whereabouts is he? Down in 30th, but we've seen for all season long he's like a hot knife through butter. Get my analogies right there, and I'm sure that's where he won't be finishing. So as the cars just come around the last couple of corners, quite a long, slow start, nice leisurely start, ready for what's going to be, I'm sure, some absolute wheel-to-wheel epic action, if it's anything to go by what we've seen earlier from the last 5 private... Oh, I can't get my words out tonight, Nick. 5 previous rounds. And so the race tonight is an hour. And sorry, Nick, you were about to say, mate?
It's okay to be tongue-tied. You're emotional about the last race.
I am, mate. It's weird. It's completely mixed emotions. Really excited for it, but in equal terms, a little bit sad and disappointing that it's coming to an end. The pace car pulls in, and for the last time of this season, in 1, 2, GT3 at Nordschleife is go. And it's got a great start from Armstrong there. He's already ahead and pulled out in front of Hitchin and Dom Roberts. Dom really mixing it up in the thick of things at the front of the field there. As the cars come into the first chicane, hard onto the brakes. I think that's Nick Print there looking to get the move done on the inside of Aidan Shadbolt. And we've seen those guys have raced close all season long as the drivers head down towards there. Oh, just got a few issues with replaying that for some reason. That's come back in. Here we go. We're back into the action with Stuart Bickley here. Oh, we've got. Was that Charlie Bebb off the track already there, Nick?
I think he's dropped down the order a little bit by the looks of it. We'll have a look at that in a moment, hopefully, Tim. But yeah, he has dropped down the order as far as I can see.
So we currently now ride on board with James Armstrong. James, he holds what I think it's something like the third best time on the whole of iRacing around this configuration and circuit. He's going to be so strong that Jonathan Hitchin would be looking for him to not get away from him. To prevent James from just running off into the distance. We saw he was posted in qualifying over a second quicker than anyone else. But equally, you've got Hitchin and Roberts aren't letting him get away, Nick, as they come round the chicane and start to head out on life now for the first time.
They're staying ever so close at the moment, aren't they? Look at that. I mean, Armstrong, the gap behind him to Hitchin, they're really close. Now, I think we might have a shot of Colin Wynn coming up that we're going to go over to now. There's a replay of Colin. It looks like he's just going to be a little bit out of shape here, is he? Ooh. Oh, we've got two cars there. There's Colin and another ahead of him. I'm not sure who that was ahead of him. It's Farrell, I believe that was Farrell ahead that also had a moment there. So maybe Colin maybe just being put off there a little bit. Here's Charlie Bebb. He was being chased hard by Alberto Gravili, and then he's just lost the back end there. He's just got a little bit too hot on the entry in exactly the same place and ended up over in the gravel. Luckily for him, no damage to that car, but he is going to light the tyres up there to get it spun around on the gravel. That's going to cost him a lot of places, but obviously anything can happen in this very, very long race with a very, very long lap. Now we're going to go over to David Lowson, Tim. He's chasing hard here behind, I believe that's Chris Edisford, is it? Yes, it is.
Yeah, that's Chris Edisford ahead of him, and then Stephen Masters ahead of him. Oh, we've got someone run wide and into the wall there. I think that was that Gary Truby, I think, there. From his red Ferrari livery. Yeah, it is Gary. Oh, poor Gary, he's tumbling down the order, and what little mistake it can cost you so dearly around here. As I think he maybe clipped on the walls, getting a little bit too early. Oh, that's Neil Smith, and Gary Truby's followed him off as well. Just followed him there, so lucky. And Truby's he's just managed to pull the car to one side, so he didn't collect the drive that's coming through. I think we've got a replay coming up potentially of that one, but just having a little look. Tom Farrell's also come off the trash. Hulse, Carrick Stonehouse, and Damien G as well. A little bit further earlier in the race, and Gary Truby has jumped to the pits. That's so unlucky to have to head to the pits so early.
Fantastic move we just got to see there from Charlie Bebb, just getting it round Mr. Franklin in the McLaren. So that was a really tough place here. Oh, look at that off
Edisford run wide there.
Edisford getting on the grass again. So Chris struggling there. That Audi just not managing to hold it here, and he's lost a lot of pace there, which has allowed Charlie Bebb to go through. He's released Charlie Bebb, and now he's going to defend against Ant Franklin behind him. Let's go over to Mr. Armstrong, who's still got a fight on his hands at the front of the pack, Tim. Look at how close they are there. That is really, really tight. John really holding on for dear life there, not wanting to let Armstrong obviously slip away and have that slipstream effect. He needs to hold on to that so that he can keep on that rear bumper, that rear wing.
There we go. We've got a replay of Carrick Stonehouse coming up now. Obviously, Carrick drives that pink Lamborghini, and I think he's just parking it up there. You see a lot of front damage. I know Carrick was involved in earlier, and also we've had Tim Scott. He's headed to the pits and involved in an incident, unfortunately. Oh,
that was a really heavy slam there into the barrier. He didn't pick anybody up there as well, so that's really lucky. That's unfortunate for Tim being out this early on, obviously, in the session, but we've still got a lot of time left to go. 55 minutes. We've seen a lot of action in 5, haven't we?
Yeah, so much action as well. Jonathan Hitchin there, and he's fighting heavily with James Armstrong, and these two need to be careful here, Nick, because they could well end up, last thing you want to be doing is having a high-speed accident. You've got Dom Roberts just sat there playing the waiting game. Hey, these two battle it out, waiting for one of them to make a mistake so he can capitalise on it and try and pick up the scraps. There's only 0.4 of a second covering these three drivers as they enter the carousel for the first time. Obviously, there's no move to be taken around there. The last thing you want to be doing is going up on the flat, high part of the circuit there. A little interesting fact for you, the carousel never used to exist as it currently is. It used to be a flat piece of track, and we've got Gravili here on the attack on Nick Prince, and yeah, just so it was only literally where the carousel, where as drivers kept going around it. Oh, Gravili runs wide there. I believe Bradley Holst has come off track somewhere. We'll see if we can come back to that in a bit.
Everyone's picking up a lot of the grass there, aren't they? Look, here's Bradley Holst going off track. He's all over the grass, and he's picked 2 of them up.
Holst collecting. Oh no, he got onto the grass there and just.
That's at least 2 cars that have gone there, unfortunately, as a result of that. There's a lot of damaged cars there coming through the field. There was one Ferrari there without a bonnet as well, by the looks of it. So this is really a race of attrition for these guys, and if you can last through, the initial few laps and keep that consistency and that flow in the car, then there's absolutely no reason why you can't just carry it to the end and pick up a load of places. Here's a fantastic shot here of Hitchin just getting round Rob Armstrong. Rob, again, another one picking up the grass there and having to slow down a little bit. So brilliant stuff there. We're going to go back to the front of the field again, to the other Hitchin, Mr. Jonathan here, who is still chasing down Mr. Armstrong at the front, but also Dom Roberts just keeping an eye on the back of this fight. He wants his place through, but everyone's behaving themselves at the minute, aren't they, Tim?
They are. So they come around the mini carousel there. They're going to head out onto the long straight. And this is where James Armstrong will be vulnerable. The Lamborghini doesn't have the best top speed compared to the Ferraris, despite obviously having that 5-litre V10 as we ride on board now with Dom Roberts. And Dom just seems to be buying his time a little bit. But we've got Chris Hitchin, I believe he's come off track somewhere. We'll see if we can come to that. But there we go, we've got Jonathan Hitchin. He's gone to the inside. And let's see how this one pans out.
This is brave, isn't it, James? Oh, look, he's got round.
Jostling. He's got it round James Armstrong. And I think that's going to be the move done there, Nick. And as they now come to the last little bit, James won't be looking to get the move done. It's one of the most difficult corners this year. You appreciate such high speed. And there we go. But I don't think James is going to answer him. Although he seems to have had a much better exit, and he's going to maybe look to make a move down into turn 1 as we come around to complete our first lap of the race tonight. And well, round about 8. There we go, an 8-minute 11 lap as Armstrong goes to the inside. Hitchin's allowing him through, but no, there's contact there.
Ooh,
there's contact, but
this is going to slip through.
Chance. Can he slip through? Dom Roberts is going to have the better drive where Armstrong and Hitchin were tangled up. Could Hitchin, there's Hitchin, he's on the lights, and could Dom Roberts pick up some of the pieces that have been left over from these two? Can't this time around, but I think maybe he's better off just sitting behind these two, Nick. And as we've seen, we know that James and Armstrong and Jonathan Hitchin are no slouches at all and like to get their elbows out. And I believe Masters and Farrell have had some sort of incident off camera, but we've got Roberts going up the inside there.
Inside.
It looks like he's going to get the move done. That is the move done for second place. And that's here we go. We've got Masters now, and
that was a horrendous incident from Masters there. He picked up too much curb on the inside there, which just flipped him round, kind of like left 180 there almost into a big spin. We're going to go back to the fight at the front of the pack here. This is the replay here of Dom Roberts just slipping it up the inside. Look at that. Hitchin went a little bit too wide there, opened the door for Dom, and he said, thank you very much. I'll come and have a little look at that. But unfortunately, it didn't stick at that point. It looks like Hitchin maybe just holding a little bit of damage there on the front right of the car. I think possibly that could be from the contact we saw with James. And now they're sticking very close together at the minute. Let's go on board here with Dom Roberts.
Despite an 8-minute lap, there's nothing to separate these three guys. Around about 7/10 of a second covering them. And it just shows, I suppose they haven't come to closer, it's come together before. It's just such a tight track, and it's so literally fine margins of error. You put one little wheel wrong, as we've seen from other drivers, onto the grass, and it can cost you so dearly. Just having a look, just having a little look down the time tower. Lee Green looks like he's catching up on Ben Brody. This Ferrari versus Ferrari, so there's going to be no real difference like we saw between Armstrong and Hitchin. But we've got that's Charlie Ben behind them there. Charlie looking to come through the field, and I'm sure he's probably going to be biding his time a little bit, just waiting. But Lee Green, he's not exactly a slow driver. Ben really close onto the back of him there, Nick.
This is what we were talking about earlier, the more confident drivers coming up really close behind slower drivers, especially when these slower drivers are also battling. Look how close Charlie gets under braking to the back of that Ferrari. That looks like Lee Green just struggling a little bit on the exit there, maybe running a little bit wide. This is going to be Charlie's chance to carry that pace round him, hopefully. But it's a tight bit of track. And again, one thing we saw in practice is these guys going side by side. Forget just how tight this track is when you've got two GT3s running side by side on these curvy up and down bits of tarmac here on the Nordschleife.
Here he comes. We can see that BMW in his rear view mirror. Full fat, taking it all done, and there we go. It looks like that's Charlie Ben got the move done on Lee Green there, and that's a great pass there. That for 15th place over, sorry, 14th place overall.
And what better way to see it than that fantastic angle we just had from Track Cams 22 of those guys tangling down the curvy straights, or the curvy section of track that we got to see him down. Now, I'm going to go back over to P1, Tim. Look at that in the lead. We've got John Hitchin. He's managed to take it back from Mr. Armstrong there, and Roberts now putting the pressure on Armstrong. Let's get the replay here of Hitchin getting around. So he's taking up a lot of grass there. Oh, wow. Really deep on the inside.
Just use the grass there, almost to rotate the car there, Nick. And James just letting him through. Obviously, we see a much longer race tonight, and Armstrong, he's on the lights. He doesn't like that one. That James won't be liking them to release that place there to Jonathan Hitchin. And you know, Hitchin running very wide again there. And so I think Anthony's had an incident somewhere off camera. We'll see if we can pick that one up.
Oh, there's Rob Armstrong with bits of his car missing.
He's missing a bonnet. That's going to be hampering his straight line speed massively. They've got Ben, but he's he's allowing people to come past there, just taking to the grass and run them past. And well, he's gonna have to look. He's trying to just limp that car back around Nick to the pits. It's going to be quicker than taking the tow, because it's an incredibly long time. It's much quicker to try and limp the car back, and he's got some pace in the car, not a massive amount. And just looking back at the rate of the top three, and yet again hardly anything to separate these guys. Dom Roberts just seeing happy to just sit behind these guys, but it looks like he's closing on Armstrong.
The thing is, Armstrong here, he needs to just finish the race, and he'll have the points ahead of Aiden, won't he? The worst thing for James here is to get into a tussle or a fight or some contact that he doesn't need. They might as well just keep slingshotting each other ahead and building the gap. So Aiden currently in 8th, he's really far down the order compared to Mr. Armstrong at the moment, who really can just sit here in the slipstream of John Hitchin and just carry that speed for the next few laps. We're going to go over to Cy Bell, because he is currently chasing down, I believe that's Alberto Gravili in front of him in the BMW.
Cy Anthony behind him, Nick. He's one of the this is one of the AM drivers, so we've currently got a Pro-Am, and AM, one after the other, and in category order currently. And great to see that Cy Anthony so far high up in the standings. And let's have a little look. We've got Rob Sanford carrying a bit of damage there, but it doesn't seem to be stopping his Audi. He's all over the back of Damien G's Ferrari. And there's James Armstrong's crashed somewhere off camera, and he's lost a place. Nick Print's come through.
He's dropping down the order like an absolute lead balloon.
We'll see if we can bring you the replay of that one, and that's it's going to cost James so dearly. Let's see what happened. So Dom's come off, and James just caught the grass there. James Armstrong, and that's going to cost Aiden. Now to bring you up to date on the championship, Aiden Shadbolt is ahead of James Armstrong, and that could prove to be pivotal in pro. And we're going to watch Aiden come past. I think James tries to turn the car around. It's so tricky at certain parts of the track. You lose so much time. There goes Shadbolton with a
Shadbolt
heavily
had,
damaged rear wing.
awful looking rear wing. So hopefully James, maybe he'll have enough pace to bring it back to Aiden, because that wasn't much of a gap, I don't think.
But look who's
possibly
behind him. He's got Sean Joe behind him. He's all on the lights, and also Stuart Buckley, two Ferrari drivers. We've seen from Sean Joe earlier in the season that he's a really quick driver, and he did really well. The N24 is that's Stephen Hughes running wide there and losing a couple of places to David Lawson and Steve Olden for fifth. That's from 15th place, and Sean Joe did absolutely brilliantly during the Nürburgring 24, and Rob Sanford's come off track somewhere. We'll see if we can bring that one to you. Here we go, and that car's got to be hard to drive, Nick. The amount of damage he was already carrying.
He's been struggling from early on. Look, he's picked up the same bit of grass, I think, there that James had almost near enough, just a little bit earlier, but he's managed to hit the anchors nice and tight there and keep it out of the wall, which has just reduced the obviously any more damage than he's already got on that car. We're here with Stuart Bickley now. Stuart obviously had a little bit of a spin into Lagos, but at the moment he's going well here in 9th position. Now James Armstrong carrying on after that bit of damage that he took. It looks like that car obviously drivable enough for him, and he's comfortable to carry on. So he's going to see if he can chase down Aidan Shadbolt, who obviously also had a bit of damage. Sean Joe looking at the back of Mr. Bickley's car there. Sean, we've seen him be incredibly competitive, as you said earlier, Tim, in previous races, and we've seen some great racing from him. So let's see if he can hold on to the back of Bickley for a little bit longer and chase him round the infinite twisty bends that we have here at the Nordschleife, ready to be chucked off onto the grass at any moment, just like we've already seen on a few occasions tonight.
Well, we can see, that's Sean Joe getting really good onto the brakes there. Bickley running a little bit wide there, and Sean Joe's really good. He's on the brakes. He's like a Darren Ricciardo. He's like the last of the late breakers. We've seen some brilliant moves at Spa from Sean. A couple of them didn't come off to him where drivers weren't almost expecting him, where he's just so strong on the brakes and able to throw it up the inside and get the move done. We started on the conversation a few times. Sean had an absolutely brilliant performance at the Nürburgring 24-hour event. As did quite a few of our drivers. So James Armstrong, the Hitchin brothers, Jonathan and Chris took part. I'm just having a little bit of think. There's Murray Luca, of course, who joined myself in the TCR. We had some great fun and a great result in that one. And we had some great results. There was Cy Anthony as well. He was another driver who took part. And we've got Nick Print currently sitting in 2nd place. He's picked up from the commiserations from Dom Roberts and James Armstrong, and is now currently finds him in 2nd place. But Dom all over the back, and Armstrong's come into the pits, Nick, looking to maybe all the drivers need to take one pit stop, and sorry, no, I've got the wrong Armstrong. It's both related. Armstrong Senior is the one who's come into the pits. Obviously, we saw his heavily damaged Mercedes earlier on.
Dom Roberts looking at the inside there.
Yeah, he's that Ferrari looking very lively.
He's just got bags more pace here than Nick Print, hasn't he? I mean, both look like they've got a bit of damage on the cars at the minute. I think Dom maybe picked up a little bit from his earlier spin, but Nick got a bit of damage there on the front corner on the whole front of the car. Now, Dom really pushing so hard. He's having a good look around Nick at every opportunity, but it is tight here, and a little slip on the grass, as we've seen before, can cost you so much. Look at him there, just trying to keep a completely different line there to Nick Print, hoping to get a bit of extra drive, and he's carried so much more speed there out of the corner than Nick Print. And look, he's going to be looking to try and get side by side, but Nick making that BMW incredibly wide there, Tim.
This is where it's so tricky, because the track is so tight, and if you make the lunge and don't get the move done, it can cost you so dearly from the lack of momentum that carries you through to the next section. As they're now going to take this long right-hander and then head up the hill. This is where you need to really be close, and Dom Roberts is I'm wrong part of the track there. Just at the overview, looking a bit different, and there we go. We've got Roberts. He's It's so close, Nick, but can't seem to get the move done quite yet. It looks like he's just biding his time as what he was doing earlier with Jonathan Hitchin and James Armstrong. Jonathan Hitchin just setting the fastest lap of the race last time around at 8:14, which the next closest lap is 1.2 seconds. So behind, further behind him, and Hitchin is definitely a man on the move at the moment and utilising that fresh air. But further down the path, Charlie Berber's managed to get past Stuart Bickley for 9th place. Let's see if we can. Here we go. We've got a replay of it. Oh, Stuart ran wide onto the grass and smacked into the barrier there. And
it's the curse of the curbs, isn't it? The curse of the curbs. You pick up a little bit, bounces the car, unsettles it, and just throws you into the walls again, which they're not far away, these walls, are they? There's not really a lot of runoff, and it's not very forgiving at all. So as soon as you're there, it almost becomes impossible to turn the car in. But look at this, Nick Print has now been passed by Don Roberts, Tim.
He has, he's got the move done. Oh, Roberts went wide then.
All over the grass.
He's so close, Nick. It's you can hardly take your eyes off it. We've got wall-to-wall action. We were saying before the race we expected a fair bit of action, but GT3's yet again delivering on action. We've got it up and down the field. Despite the drivers, starting to spread out a little bit now, but we've got so many close battles on track at the moment. We've got Hughes tucked up behind Luca. We've got Bell tucked up behind Gravili, Print and Roberts, who we're currently watching, and Nick Print there really trying to get that, using the traction on that BMW and not letting Roberts. Oh, Tom Roberts drifting that Ferrari round the corner there. Absolutely brilliant catch, and that Ferrari's looked a little bit loose. We saw it in qualifying and also in the race warm-up as well. But Tom Roberts, what a save there. He's a man on fire tonight.
Getting past Nick Print has given him an opportunity to really gallop away. But to be honest, that extra speed that he's taken now, and those risks that he's taking to get a bit of distance, is almost going to cost him with incidents like that, where he's picking up bits of the grass and bouncing off the curbs. And if he's not careful, he'll meet the same fate as a few of the other guys, and he'll be meeting the Armco barriers and having to take a trip to the pits potentially. Now we're looking at Lee Green.
Yes, Alpha Stanley, thank you for coming on in with a follow there. Appreciate
Lee Green,
that one.
big drift.
Yeah, that's cost him, and that's allowed Lawson through. Lawson obviously saw that into Lagos, the battle he had with Lee Green there, and they've got heavily damaged Audi there from Aiden Shadbolt, and he's got his sparring partner that is James Armstrong right behind him. This is a battle for in the championship, and we'll see if we can see what happened as we move around now. We've got Samford and these guys, just spanned there, didn't they?
It did, yeah. He picked up that inside curve a little bit, a bit of a bump. And look at how close he is behind Aiden Shadbolt now. That damage obviously not enough to take too much time off of James's lap. We know he's been much quicker. Much quicker in the qualifying sessions. I think it was almost, what was it, an 8:05 in the end that he did, and I think Aiden was back in probably about the 8:10s possibly. So James really showing what he's made of, and I wouldn't be surprised if he gets past Aiden on this lap quite comfortably, unless Aiden puts up too much of a fight. But we don't want to see these guys coming together. Here it is.
James Armstrong's going to have the better straight line speed advantage with that from a heavily damaged Audi, where the aero is going to be really effective, and this is going to allow release James Armstrong now to gallop away, and this thing not looking too good for the championship. But here comes Shadbolt's not giving up. He's coming back at him, Nick. I don't think he's going to have enough pace to be able to fight back again at him, but he's definitely not letting him get away, and he's showing the front end of that Audi in the rearview mirror of that James's Lamborghini, and I think this is the point now in the lap where we can see Armstrong to start to pull out a bit of a gap. But we head now to Sean Joe. We ride on board with him. He's got Ben Brody ahead of him. But I think he's going to be carrying a bit of damage there. Not too sure what happened to him earlier in the race. Maybe he's really affected his straight lines. You saw that Ben Brody just almost walk away, and once these cars lose their front bollets, then it really affects the straight line speed of them. And where, as you can imagine, they're not as slippery and as aerodynamically as efficient, and it really costs you dearly going up the hill, obviously in the middle of the Nordschleife, and then obviously along that massive long straight, and it really costs you dearly. But just looking at Armstrong now, Chabot, he's half a second behind and hasn't really seemed to pull away. Here's the replay from Sean Joe.
Yeah, looks like he, yeah, it's just he's dug the front end into the Armco, hasn't he? Just as we see so many people do when they pick up a bit of the grass or the curb here, and it bites hard. I mean, just look at the amount of damage that we've got across the field, the amount of dents and bent bumpers and knackered rear wings. Here's another shot here of James Armstrong getting back past Aidan Shadbolt. That was a nice clean move there from James. Just managed to tuck it in and take advantage of that slipstream effect. Then Aidan, with that damage and the slipstream, I just don't think the pace was really there to try and retake. As we go over to Neil Smith, he is looking to get past Trevor Davis there, which doesn't look like is too much of a stress for him at the moment. It's Rob Sanford ahead.
It is, yeah. Rob's a bit specific from Rob. He's sort of slipped down the order, unfortunately, due to that damage hampering him early on. I know the Sanford fan club will be disappointed by that one and feeling his pain. But yeah, I think next one on the list for Neil Smith is going to be Rob Sanford. As there we go, nice inboard shot of his helmet, and yeah, Neil Smith round about 7/10 behind. I think he's got ahead of him somewhere off camera. No, there we go. Sanford's headed for the pits.
Sanford heads in, hopefully pick up a bit of fuel now. He's got Trev behind him as well. Here's Ant Franklin here in a slightly battered and bruised McLaren, the only one on the grid tonight that we have here. He's the only person, I think, brave enough possibly to drive it, Tim.
Crazy enough, I think.
We've seen previous races where we've had majority grids of McLarens, and I think every other replay that we switched to was a McLaren finding its way somewhere off the track when it shouldn't be, you know, in a normal race. So, yeah. And
McLaren's incredibly quick, Nick, on over a 1 lap pace, but it's if you use those tyres up too early, it just costs you dearly, and it's such an animal to control. Obviously, you saw it in the Clash of Nations, where a lot of our drivers decided to opt for the McLaren in the GT3 event, and wow, it's almost like someone flicked the switch and they all started falling off the track one after another about halfway through the race. And it cost them dearly. But Cy Bell here, he's up in 5th place. Obviously capitalised from the earlier incidents, and a really strong drive from one of our Pro-Am drivers. Obviously, the other Pro-Am driver up near him is Dom Roberts, who obviously already won the championship and while ahead up in 2nd place in the league of his own. And but I think Dom Roberts is, I think he's entered the pits, Nick. I've watched him just, or has he?
Oh, I think, has he had an accident? It's like he's gone off track. Has he? Oh, and the wall. Oh,
he's wedged it in the wall, Nick.
Not just hit the wall. He's you know, he's penetrated that wall there, Dom Roberts. So that is Dominator Roberts out of the running at the front of the pack. So look at that now. Hitchin, Print, Gravelli and Cybel now make up your top 4. A completely different look and feel to what we started with this evening. So we knew it was going to be full of surprises and it was going to be a long race, but we didn't know quite what we were going to be in store for. Here's Edisford.
Chris Edisford, the guy who started off iRacing UK. He's that Sam Franklin ahead of him, and Chris carrying the nice iRacing UK livery that we've used for the designed by Chris Hitchin, that's been carried for the Clash of Nation events, and inspired obviously by the Union Jack and our community colours. And Ant Franklin currently taking on another one of our community liveries as well, the orange McLaren livery, and yeah, it looks really special that there, Nick. A little bit of damage from Chris, but it's to be expected because we've got so many people with damage. And we're just going to head across to Mary Luca now, and taking a little bit of a scenic route there, Mary.
Mowing the lawn.
Signing to the grass is more favourable. Oh, incredibly wide, and using the Armco barrier there to to act as his steering wheel there. Hopefully that hasn't bent the steering at all. He seems to hit it quite side on, but he's headed to the pits. I think that might have cost him dearly there, Nick.
It just seems like that's what we're seeing a lot here, isn't it? You know, we see them picking up a little bit of grass somewhere on the inside and then putting it into those barriers and almost just gliding along them. That's all you need. One tyre on the grass and it's over. So, yeah, a real shame for some of these guys to see that. We're staying here with this Ant Franklin and Chris Edisford battle there, and then we've also got, I think that's Mr. Neil behind as well, isn't it? Or Neil Smith.
Yes, it is Neil Smith, not too far behind them, and catching them ever so slowly. Another battle to have a little look at is Trevor Davis as well. He's setting some decent lap times. Trev. He's got Rob Sanford ahead of him. He had a really strong Nürburgring 24. And he was driving the BMW in that as well, so he's currently drawing on all of that experience. And he's one of the Trevor's one of the lower iRacing drivers, but he seems to be performing well above his. He seems to be getting better and better, and there we go. He's absolutely all over the back of Rob Sanford there, and we've seen such an improvement from Trevor throughout the season as it's gone on, Nick.
Yeah, fantastic drive from Trev here this evening. It looks like these guys, obviously, they came into the pits at about the same time. I think Trev followed Rob in, both with a bit of damage on those cars. So just holding that battle together then by the looks of it. Now looking to stay on one another's tail. Well, Trev staying on the tail here of Rob and hoping to try and claim that place later on in the lap. These guys now coming up to have nearly done 4 laps, the front guys at the front. John Hitchin just now coming into the end of his current lap. So we've got 27 minutes of this race to go, so we're just over halfway, and we're going to go over to Edisford.
So Edisford, he has got Dan right behind him. We said about Neil Smith, right behind him, and we said about him catching, and he's taken around about 3 seconds out of Chris Edisford. And that, I think he's dropped a couple of seconds off Anthony Franklin there, Nick. So I think maybe the gap's just shifted from Chris has sort of slid back a little bit. Maybe a slight error that's cost him. As one little error around here, especially in the faster parts of the track, could cost you so much in terms of lost momentum and then obviously lost time. Oh, yeah, Nick, we've got, sorry to cut across you, Nick. We've got the top 5 all coming into the pit lane at the same time. And there we go, we've got absolute hive of activity. There's James Armstrong coming into the pits in the background there. And they're absolutely really busy in the pits. We've got Murray Luca, obviously, had to get a go in there. They've got Stuart Bickley, I think that is in there as well. And then we've got Charlie Bebb as well.
Going out already. John Hitchins managed to get that stop done nice and quickly, and he's already heading out to the pit exit now. So he was 10 seconds ahead of these guys, so obviously he's got a bit of an advantage, but he's going to maintain that advantage. And look, Nick Print now getting out on track, MP2 there. So all these guys having pretty efficient stops by the looks of it. Nobody getting stuck there in the pit lane, nobody getting caught up on each other on the exit either.
Nick, sorry, here we go. We've got the sort for 16th, Franklin Edisford and Neil Smith. And these 3 are all close right up. 3 completely different cars. We've got the 2 V8s in the McLaren and the BMW, and the V10 in that Audi R8. And Neil Smith just seems to me, you can hear him sort of feathering the accelerator, not being fully committed, and just almost seems like he's biding his time. We're coming around to the last few corners. Oh, there's Franklin. He's hit the wall on the inside. The car, Edisford's backed out until
the kiss of the Armco again, isn't
it? It is, Nick. It's cost him dearly. Although Smith's run wide, he dipped into the mini carousel there and jumped out the other side. And this is allowed Edisford now. He's given him the breathing space, and Neil Smith, where he's got a nice pristine car, has taken a bit of damage to the front right.
Sean Joe is the domino at the front of here that starts this, but not by any contact. It looks to me, I think, maybe that puts people off pace. They're a little bit, distracted after watching that, and he just missed his braking marker, hasn't he? It just goes straight on into the wall. So real shame there for Mr. Smith. Now you think that Chris had just dropped back really far from Ant a minute ago, hadn't he? and Neil had been the one that had caught up to Chris. So it goes to show just how much can change in the space of, you know, only a few corners. You know, half a lap here or even a quarter of a lap here can have a real shake up on what the grid looks like.
Oh, it can do. It just one little incident can hurt you dearly, and just having a little look to bring you up to date with the stuff. I think Chris Edits third and Damien G are the only drivers. Also, and Anthony Franklin as well are currently the only drivers who haven't pitted yet, but there we go. We've got Chris Featherston heading in. I'm imagining Ant Franklin will also be heading in, obviously, after that damage he was carrying. We've got old Lucky Steve heading out of the pits there with his brilliant livery. We've now got the battle between Sean Joe and Lee Green. This battle for 11th place on track. Ferrari on Ferrari, Nick, and two very strong drivers. We've seen some, you know, great drives from Lee Green. Obviously, think back to that brilliant battle he had with Cy Anthony around Monza. You were saying before the race, where it sort of all came to a little bit of a head with Tom Farrell, where they were, Lee utilised him to box in Cy Anthony, playing the tactics game. And wow, it all ended in a bit of a concertina effect, didn't it?
It did indeed, yeah. It was a really interesting way to see that that lap come to an end on the Parabolica. Now, Sean Joe just, like you say, just doing his thing right now in that Ferrari, both mixed power, and they're just going to take it easy for the remainder of this race. He's going to hold on behind him and to find that spot where maybe his competitor isn't as confident or quick and slip past, which is what we have seen in other parts of the race. Now we're hearing a couple of people have taken tyres. I think somebody suggested that Gravilli might have taken tyres, and I think one other that I think Sean just mentioned, Neil Smith, has also taken tyres. So interesting to see some of the guys wanting to go for a switch here, for some fresh rubber, looking maybe possibly to get a bit more time out of their laps.
Just trying to have a bit of a look down the order. I think Gravilli, like you say, one of them who's taken, looking in the pit stop times, a bit hard to tell obviously from the obviously where pit drivers have had to repair for damage. So we've got Bradley Hoss here, Sean Joe in his Ferrari. Here's a repaired Rob Armstrong with the two
AMG versus AMG.
I think it's got to be the sound car within the GT3, that Etsy V8 grumble from the Mercedes AMG.
Now this will be interesting. We haven't seen these guys go head-to-head in any of our races before, have we? So let's hang on here. And, look at that! Rob Armstrong just flying past. Steve Alden saying, "Thank you very much, but I'm not up for the fight right now. I'm not nearly as comfortable as you and your Mercedes there, Mr. Armstrong. So off you go."
Yeah, a bit of an odd one there. Steve seems to pull across to the right-hand side, and I can see him being the brakes. Oh no, David Larson's come off track somewhere off camera. But we'll see if we can take a look at what's happened. Here we go.
Here we go.
Let's have a look.
Ghostbusters Dave, I think he had a similar incident here in practice. Am I right? Yeah, here he is. Just spun the back end round there. But he's kept it out the wall crucially, so he can get it back onto the tarmac there. And that's incredibly tight, but he's going to be in the way.
He's just sat there waiting, doing the right thing, just checking his relative, allowing the cars to come through. But the trouble is, it's going to cost him a bit of time, that, Nick.
Gary Baker just managed to find a wafer thin bit of space there to slip through behind Dave, making sure that he could keep it on the track. So good driving there from both those guys.
You're saying
up in 11th.
So Nick, you're saying that he saved his bacon there?
He did save his bacon, absolutely. Sizzling hot moment there for Gary Bacon.
It may be the last race of the season, but we're still getting the puns in there, left, right and centre. So, well worth staying tuned. Obviously, after the race, we're formulating in. Our producer Sean will have his abacus out, sorting up the championship points. We've got a brilliant video coming up for you for the Porsche Challenge League that's coming up, and what's going to be in store for that, and it's something I'm really looking forward to. Now, we've got this little battle here. We've got Franklin in his McLaren, Rob Sanford's Audi, and then Tim Darracot's Mercedes. And looks like, Sanford. Oh no, he's put it into the wall. it looks did go to let him through there, Nick, and he's put it into the wall.
Franklin there picking up loads of curb there on the inside of that right-hander. And look at this, Aracott just going to be able to slip past. We're going to go back here to Rob
Nick.
Sanford. What did he do?
Let's have a look. Yeah, he's all... Aracott's gone up the inside there and just... Oh, Trevor did well to avoid him there, obviously coming round that blind corner there, Trevor Davis. And that was really tough for Sanford there because this left with nowhere to go. A lot of places around the Nordschleife, there's realistically only one line. We're just currently looking at a Ferrari on Ferrari battle, Ben Brody and...
Gary Bacon there behind him.
Yes, that is Gary Bacon, that instinctive red and white Birra Moretti inspired Ferrari livery. And looks like he's just having a bit of a chill at the moment and yeah, just letting Lee Green do the work and just following him around.
Yeah, a couple of tenths between them at the moment. It's 4 tenths between Lee Green and Gary Bacon here. They've just slipped past Dave, obviously, a minute ago after his incident. Dave is catching, though. He's just come under the 5-second marker behind Gary Bacon. So let's see what he'll be able to do. Maybe he'll be able to catch these guys if they start fighting. Now, let's stay with these guys. Ferrari on Ferrari, as you said, so this is going to be down to driver skill and confidence here on this incredibly long circuit that they're faced with tonight.
Just keeping an eye on the timing screen, Nick. We've got Hughes and Joe who are even closer. There's only about 3/10 of a second separating these guys. Another Ferrari on Ferrari battle. And Hughes, he's run a little bit wide there, and that's the lap Sean Joe through.
It looks like, was there a bit of a nudge in there? I think we have to try and get a replay of the, maybe of a little angle. I was kind of waiting almost for that car to come back onto track and wipe Sean out by accident. It's just the way they happen sometimes. Look at this, so really close there. And he's just managed to keep it under control. He's done very well there, Steve Hughes. Some nice controlled racing. And we're going to go over to Neil Smith, who is looking to put some pressure here on Mr. Tom Carroll.
So Tom Carroll, surprised to see him racing tonight. He's recently become a father. Oh no! Oh, there he goes.
Surprised to see him racing. Suddenly he stood still.
So as well, we've mentioned Tom recently become a father. Little baby Ezra, doing really well. And Tom was saying to me the other day that he seems to be eating him out of, drinking him as well. Obviously being a newborn baby out of house and home in terms of milk. So yeah, Tom. It only gets worse, doesn't it, with children, and especially when they get to teenagers, and then literally the cupboards are empty in 5 seconds. So I'm sure Tom's got some nice expensive food bills to come in future years to come. So just having a little bit of look up and down the time sheets, we've got Cy Anthony. He's closing up the gap on Nick Brent. He's taken around about a couple of attempts out of him in the last corner or two, and that'll be a good little battle to take a look at. No, sorry, that Armstrong behind it. So yeah, it's Armstrong behind him. So it's Armstrong closing on Cy Anthony, and so these guys completely different categories. Obviously, Cy a ham driver, James one of our pro drivers. So that Ferrari really having a nice little drift. We've seen quite a few of the Ferraris tonight, Nick. They seem to be really loose on corner exit and almost drifting out.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of the cars. Some of the angles that we got from track cams 22 give us just this perfect view of them as they enter the corner, and so many times we've switched to angles where we've seen not just the Ferraris but even the Lambo and others really sliding around as these guys get the feel for the track and try and push the tyres a bit further than maybe they're willing to go. But there's the damage to bear in mind as well, Tim, because these guys have got a few bruises and a few bumps and bangs from the previous laps that we've had. And James Armstrong now just going to try and slip high Cy Anthony. I think he's let him through there. I think Cy realises it. There's not much point trying to fight the raging beast that is Mr. Armstrong in that Lamborghini.
Well, somewhat off camera, Shadbolt looks like he's come off track, and I think now this is going to really secure the... Well, I don't want to put the cursed commentator on it, Nick. We've already done that this evening. That's in the stadium, and let's have a little look. As he comes around to... Ooh,
very
just
wide.
Caught the bump there, and that's what's settled the rear end, and just tap it. It just nudged the rear of the car into the wall there, Nick, and what was a nice straight rear wing has now bent again, and that's going to cost him dearly in the straight lines. So unfortunately,
I think he
and
prefers that wing broken, to be honest. He's only just had it repaired, hasn't he?
well, yeah, I think he just seems to like it like that. I mean, just have a look at Dom Armstrong. I'm looking at reading two different sets of numbers, getting excited there. But I'm just looking at the purple sectors. Dominic Roberts just setting sectors 4 and 5, so that's as you come out to North Life. He was second at one point, down in 14th at the moment, but he's setting some really strong sectors there, despite being down the field. But now let's right on board with Trevor. He's got Neil Smith ahead of him and Ant Frankling. These guys ran about a second, 1.4 seconds ahead of him. Trevor, one of our hosts of Friday Fun, comes up with some absolutely great quality events, as we mentioned earlier in the show, with some really weird and wacky combinations that are just, a good chance to have a laugh and, bring in the weekend with a bit of a laugh and a couple of beers. And if you're having a bit of a crash or bang doors a little bit, it doesn't matter too much. It's just for a bit of fun.
Yeah, Trev looked like he was really strong there into the entry there, into the stadium section. And now he just seems to have dropped back a little bit from the back of Mr. Smith here. But really, it looks like Ant Franklin might actually be holding up Neil a little bit here. And that's what's allowing possibly Tim just to... Trev just to... Tim, you're not on the track tonight. Tim, Trev, my bad. But it's just allowing Trev to hold on to the back of this battle at the moment and keep himself in contention for a place here. So good to see these guys nice and close together, giving us the viewers some action, and all these angles obviously provided to us by TrackCams 22 for the final round here this evening of the GT3 Season 2 League.
Oh, Nick, we've only got 12 minutes, well, closer to 13 than 12, but I can't believe that's all that's left of the championship. The last 40 odd minutes has just absolutely flown by. We've had some absolutely brilliant driving, some good luck from some of the drivers, some unfortunate incidents from others, but wow, what a season it has been. And just sort of a bit of a reminisce around down memory lane, I just think back to Interlagos, that battle we had for second place between Chris Hitchin, David Larson and Lee Green, which was a little bit stagnant, but then around when the pit window opened, Chris was the first to peel in, followed by David a lap later, and then Lee Green, and it all came to a bit of a coming together as Lee Green exited the pits and they headed down to, I always forget the name of the corner, but this turn 3. Thank you for saving me there. And David, he had absolutely brilliant racing. The whole chat was behind him and willing him on. And it was so unlucky, but it was absolutely great action, and such a brilliant battle and such close racing that we've seen all season long.
Yeah, absolutely right. So it was that really, you mentioned that really tight moment that we had at Interlagos. We saw a lot of other really tight moments. We had Gravili and Armstrong fighting really hard off the line at Interlagos as well. That was a really great bit of action to see. Other races to note, Watkins Glen. That was one that we really enjoyed, wasn't it? So we had drama at the start because James, I think he picked up a little bit of damage on the exit of turn the final corner, wasn't it? Yeah, that's right. So he caught the ball there. That bit him a little bit, and then later on in the lap, that obviously resulted in him. He went flying, didn't he? Went on the James Armstrong space mission after his car contacted the wall, and went absolutely flying thanks to the fantastic physics here on iRacing, the world's premium motorsport simulator. And going on from that, we also had front runners such as Nick Print getting involved in minor incidents with other lower class, the Pro-Ams, didn't he, in the boot section of the track, which put a bit of a damper on his race. So we've seen some, and also some really great overtakes at Watkins Glen. I think it was Dave Norman was one guy that we saw really taking the plunge on that bus stop chicane as they enter the outer loop, throwing it at the inside there, which is absolutely brilliant stuff to watch.
And of course, we saw from the pit strategy played a part as well in both both races as well. So we had Alberto Gravilli, who Trev Davis running up across the curbs there, and that's going to cost him a little bit of time on camera there. But there we go, he's just dropped a little bit back from Anne Franklin. But yeah, we had Alberto Gravilli, who made the undercut work from him tremendously and picked up about 3 or 4 places. And then we had, in the AM rookie race, we had Josh Wilson, who utilised the overcuts, and that managed to pick him again up, picked him up a couple of places and put him into second overall and second in class as well. And wow, Watkins is throwing up some absolutely brilliant racing, not just in GT3s, of course the F3 race that we had from the F3 league there. Wow, that was just a complete wall-to-wall overtakes and some great driving from all the drivers as they ran wheel to wheel as they entered the group section, wasn't it?
I challenge one of our viewers to go back and watch the Watkins Glen stream, or on YouTube or on the Twitch channel, and come back to us in the community and with a count of how many overtakes there were on that long back straight, because obviously we had no chicane on the F3, did we? So
no, we didn't.
No, we didn't at all. So that every lap there was something to be seen there, whether it be front runners, the back markers, either way.
So we've got around about just under 9 minutes now left to go, and you're currently running order. We've got Jonathan Hitchin, who's running off into the distance there at 16 seconds ahead of Nick Print, who's found himself way up the order thanks to earlier incidents that we had from Dom Roberts and James Armstrong. We've got Cy Anthony really pushing it up there for the AM category, up in 3rd overall. Alberto Gravilli in 4th. James Armstrong, who's been on a recovery drive and he's made his way back up to 5th. Charlie Bev 6th. Aidan Shadbolt in 7th. Ben Brody, Lee Green, David Lowson, who obviously just mentioned those two. Tom Carroll's just come off track. We're going to take a look at that one and see exactly what happened there.
Is Tom Carroll on replay, just up the curb there. Another person taking the scenic view, taking a bit of the lawnmower route. We'll go back to this, another one that we had from him here. Oh, a little bit of a tap on the wall there, just leaving some paint there and making sure he's out the way of the passing Lamborghini there. Oh, sounded like there was another dink there in the background actually after that. I don't know what that was. Maybe there's another incident to be seen there that we didn't quite catch. Might have been Steve Masters, I'm not sure. Was it Steve Masters or was it James Armstrong?
Oh, sure. It was James Armstrong coming through, but
was it?
According to the event log, nothing seems to have happened, so touch wood.
Well,
we broke the curse of the conversation on him.
In 5th, though. I thought James was a bit higher up than that, wasn't he? He was in 3rd, wasn't he? He got past Anthony.
No, he hadn't got that. Oh, that was early in the race, I think, mate. Well, let's go back to Steve Masters, and then when he's had a bit of an incident somewhere off track, he's lost 2 places to Damien G and Murray Luca.
In the comments, I see James had the drive-through, I think.
There we go. Masters here.
Yeah.
Oh, round he went.
Look at that little dink there.
The trouble is, with the track being so narrow, Nick, when you found yourself facing the wrong way, it's so hard to flick the car around. And here we go, we've got Armstrong just entering the pits on the replay to take his stop-and-go penalty.
Oh, at least he's possibly got a bit of the car straightened out there, maybe. But
yes.
Anyway, at least we've still got James in this race. Seen some good laps as it takes from him. Now, just with only 6 minutes to go, Tim, this really has been it's been full of action, hasn't it? I mean, the amount of incidents that we've seen, and it's just the kind of race that you don't get anywhere else because of the length of the lap. Everyone's at a different level of knowledge and memory of where the corners are, and different people have had different experiences, whether they've been in endurance races or official series, and it really shows through with the likes of people like James we've seen who really have commanding leads, but it could all be thrown away in the pressure.
Looks like he's closing in hard on Damien G, and looks like he's looking at the timings, and looks like he's going to get that move
side by side.
There we go, utilising that slipstream, and that is the move done. Hopefully, I don't want to put the curse of the commentator onto Murray, and hopefully, hold it in together through these fast few final corners. These last couple of corners, where you have to ride the curbs, Nick, always unsettles the car. Yeah, obviously I mentioned earlier myself, and oh, there you go, Damien G just popping into the pits very late in the race. So surprised, it didn't look like he was carrying any damage there.
Could be
So
another
it's just,
drive-through.
must be for, I'm guessing, speeding in the pits. There we go. So I know he's picked up his hit his limit of off tracks, and that's incurred a penalty for him. And we've also got Masters as well into the pits. So looks like these guys just taking their penalties before they head out now onto, I'm guessing what will be the probably about their probably 2 laps to go, looking at whereabouts Jonathan Hitchin currently is on lap. So it'd be interesting to see, obviously we can't see, but how the fuel will be sitting for some of the drivers, and whether we could see a potential last lap splash and dash.
Could be. Might be why James went into the pits, possibly. It could be why any number of the guys have gone in if they haven't calculated it right. I mean, it's a long lap, and you just really don't know what's going to happen, do you? So if you've underfueled for any reason, then it could come back to bite you. And look at the gaps on the board at the minute on the timing tower. 17 seconds, 19 seconds there. So, you know, there is a chance that if someone have to dive into the pits, there is time to be lost here. It could lose that
Nick,
time pretty quick.
You mentioned about the fuel. Interestingly, so when I ran with Murray during the Nürburgring 24, we took the Audi RS3 TCR, which allows you to obviously bound, especially where we have the car set up, to bound across the curves without affecting it too much. But nowhere, some of the guys run crew chief, and we had a bit of an incident where obviously as you come into the pit, it adjusts your fuel. You can set it to. It's a brilliant tool. However, we found ourselves a lap short, so we'd done a splash and dash, and then found that coming onto where we had to run an extra lap, crew chief hadn't allowed for that, and we had to make an extra splash and dash, which nearly cost us a position after 24 hours worth of racing. But Chris Erdesford looks like he's made a couple of places past. Sorry, no, he's had a bit.
I think he might have just lost the place.
Sorry, I'm reading that the wrong way around. He's dropped Trev Davis and Franklin.
Ooh, it looks like he's hit the wall. That's why Trev's managed to get past him, hasn't it? See if we can just reverse that up, and we'll give everyone a view of that. Looks.
I think he's now doing one of those Austin Power style 9 million point turns. But has he caught the grass? Yep, there we go. The slippery grass, and that spun it round. And luckily he's hardly touched the barrier, just lighting up the rears there to just make sure he didn't roll back across the track. But there we go. He's just now got to perform that Austin Powers turn, multi-point turn now, as I said. And
I guess the benefit of a very long lap here with big gaps between the cars is that these guys do manage to get a bit of breathing space to try and bring the cars back on track safely. Obviously, it is incredibly tight, as we've already said, which presents obviously its own problems for the guys here. And here's Damien G, car number 40 here, in position 25. He's following Steve Masters at the moment. Masters looking like a little bit slower at the moment, actually, than Damien G. Damien looking a bit more confident.
Masters got a bit of damage on the front end of that Lamborghini.
He has.
I think he has in the front left, hasn't he, Nick? And shouldn't really affect him too much, providing I don't see why we carry on if he's got any sort of bent the steering at all, but it doesn't seem to be affecting too much in the corners. We're right on board with Damien G now, and not really a sort of position on the track where you're looking to take part of the take an overtake. Well, there's only really one line round here.
I've seen a lot of the guys where they've had a faster car behind them, in some cases just letting people through, I think for safety reasons more than anything. In some points, haven't we, I think we saw James getting let through earlier by somebody, and maybe Damien G will get the same courtesy given to him by his competitor ahead, Mr. Masters. Here's Neil Smith picking up more of that greenery, and then managing to find himself hugging the Armco barrier, and more scratches on the front left there of that BMW GT3. And here it is again. Gary Truby. A different angle. This is a different driver there, and that's a real big thump there into the wall that he took there. That's going to be a hell of a lot of damage. Here's Murray Luca, a replay from Murray. Looks like he might have gone off track as well. We have seen a little bit of this from him already.
Lost the place to Edersford. Just ran
he's kept it out the wall. And easy
carried him
rejoin by the looks of it, but he might have somebody coming up. Yeah, there's
That's
Chris
Edisford.
Edisford just sneaking round there. Chris obviously having just had another incident. I think actually we've probably got another replay of True because it sounds like he's gone off again, Tim.
Oh no, this is
here's
Dom Roberts
at the moment.
Oh, this is going to be tight. There we go. That's luckily just hit its side on there, so that's not going to cost him too much, but it's so easily done. It's a hive of action. We've gone from
very
being
quick
quite quiet on in the race and not a lot happening, and reminiscing from what's happened prior in the season, and all of a sudden we've got Darracot's come off somewhere as well, and he's had to jump to the pit. Murray Lucas got back past Chris Edisford to 22nd.
There's a replay of Armstrong, and he's picked up
right.
a bit of. Two Mercedes, both of them going off there, but a perfect pirouette from Darracot. He's just flipped it round. That must be a content creator's dream, that corner. With 0 laps to go, I think we're probably going to go over live to Damien G here, but we probably also need to just acknowledge Mr. Hitchin at the front of the pack, who will be coming to an end of his race. He is a absolute survivor this evening, which has allowed him to carry on all the way to the end with minimal problems here. So he's about a third of the way through a lap at the minute. So we'll go over to Edisford, who's got a fight on his hands at the minute with Bacon. We're going to go, Bacon notices a replay of Bacon going off track that we've got here.
Bit of an unusual spot, that, Nick.
It looked like he'd just gotten tucked left a little bit, like the car had just pulled left. So that was
bit of a strange one, that. Bit of a strange one. Not too sure. You can tell from the camera angle quite exactly how that one had happened.
Here's Edisford.
Well, they call it the Green Hound, Nick, and I think it's more of a case of it's the grass rather than the trees that's creating the howl for the drivers tonight.
That needs to be the iRacing community corner of lawn mowing there, doesn't it? I think we've seen so many people going over there and shaving the grass off, and I think Chris has probably just made a hat trick there of incidents we've seen from him, and another tap on the wall there. He's kept the car going, so no need for him to be back to the garage just this moment. But here's John Hitchin coming round his final lap. He's almost half the way around the lap at the moment now, coming towards the kind of 7.5 lap point for Mr. Hitchin.
Wow, Nick, he's half a lap left now. I know it's quite a long lap in that sort of sense. It's quite unique, but half a lap left as we watch Hitchin now from the helicopter view. Over there, we've mentioned it before, but thank you to the guys at trackcams22.com who've brought us these brilliant camera angles and allowed us to use them all season long, and allowed us to view what has been some absolutely brilliant racing all season long. I think, Nick, I'd be surprised if, let's see, everyone in the chat, right, how many people do you think are going to come in without any damage left on their car? Because I'm struggling to see. I think maybe Colin Wynn in the background there, someone we haven't really spoken about too much. But,
that's because he had an 11-minute tow off the first lap, I think.
Of course.
Oh, look, there's Steve Masters off the track. We've seen Steve struggling a little bit throughout this race. I think he did have Damien G behind him for company a few moments ago. Colin Wynn, here we go again, following him now. Bit of a replay here from Colin. He just got to see the carnage ahead of him there, didn't he? Colin just managed to avoid that. But yeah, Colin had that incident early on. He was in the chat saying that he had an 11-minute tow. And there's Dom Roberts going off track again. Dom Roberts, after a very good early form, struggling, and that's him. It looks like he's just gone to the pits on that one, doesn't it, Tim?
I think, yeah, he's given up. That's him done for the night. Saves doing the last lap. Clearly, concentration now starting to slip off from the guys. And as the cars all seem to be carrying damage, and got Steve Olden, he's just there allowing Cy Bal through there. That was for position, so drivers within different categories. So I think that's maybe why he's just allowing him through. And we've got Colin Wen here, Nick. He's absolutely all racing side by side with Damien G. And it looks like that's the move done, but G's not exactly giving up that place, Nick.
Colin Wynn and Damien G, both Ferrari drivers, both also radical drivers. They love the Monday night sessions, and look at that, Colin just picking up loads of the greenery on the inside there, bouncing around all over those curves. Great to see some really friendly, fantastic racing from these guys as they now come up to the back of Chris Edisford. Colin Wynn just getting past Chris there on the inside. Chris has just come out of the pits, obviously after a bit of incident, but this is for position at the moment. Look, Damien
It
G
is.
there chasing really hard, so he's going to try and stay in contention here. And Colin Wynn looks like he's just kind of let Chris go again there a little bit. So, ooh, they're keeping it incredibly close here. Maybe they're just putting on a bit of a show here for the viewers in the last stage of the race, giving us something to look at. I wasn't expecting to see some battles as close as this in the final stage of the races, Tim. But
No.
Chris has turned it around, a bit
Whoa,
of smoke
no.
there, and Damien G now catching up to the back of Colin Wynn, really pushing hard on the final part of this race. Lee Green has crashed from 11th as well, I believe. We might get a replay of that in a moment. I must say, John Hitchin now 7.8 laps completed. He's coming towards the end, and this is Lee Green here.
On the grass there, Nick. The perennial rear wheel. I think this is a lot of this just tiredness now starting to kick in, where the drivers have, it's not just the the hour-long race, but then also the qualifying, the practice as well. These drivers will have been, sat behind the wheel for around about the last 2.5 hours, but it's just a little bit of frustration from, being far behind drivers, and the concentration starting to wane, damage starting to incur as well, and it's just costing, that's why we're seeing a few mistakes from the drivers.
Yeah, lots of mistakes. I think one thing that we've definitely noted here is that if you get on the grass, you're going to crash your car, Tim. That's the main lesson that I think we've all learned here.
Yeah, I think we've definitely learned that one.
Yeah. So stay off the green, don't crash your car. John Hitchin now coming into the final section of the track. He's going to complete his last lap here, and Tim, I'll hand it over to you as he goes across the line.
Here he is. He's stayed out of trouble. Jonathan Hitchin is your winner. He wins round 6 at the Nordschleife. Congratulations, Jonathan Hitchin. He won the championship during season 1 and rounds out season 2 with the race victory. Now, we've got a little bit of a gap to Nick Print. I think they've got a lap car coming through. Or is that Nick Print? It's a bit hard to tell from position.
Yeah,
I think that is. Yeah, there we go.
Flashing his lights as he comes over the line.
He takes the checkered flag for second place. Now the next driver across the line should be Cy Anthony, who, what an absolute brilliant result, Nick. Third place overall for one of the AM drivers. Brilliant result. It just shows from just keeping your nose clean, staying out of trouble. There we go. Taken across the line, take third overall and the class win. It just shows, Nick, just stay out of trouble and you can pick up so many places.
Yeah, it's a race of attrition here, and we've seen from so many people, whether they be, good drivers or, the higher class drivers or the lower class drivers, they've been fantastic all night. And just staying out of trouble, you can stay at the top of the grid. Very big thank you to everybody in the comments. We've had some fantastic comments through from you guys. Minxie Moodles, thanks for a great commentary, guys. You've got me enjoying watching racing again, and a big well done to everyone who's taken part. Congrats, Johnny. Thanks very much for that comment. We've got lots of other comments in from you guys. Thanks very much for acknowledging all the hard work that we've done here. And there's James Armstrong on your screen, just doing a donut there to commemorate his victory here in the league, I believe now, Tim.
I think yes, because Shadbolt's he's finished ahead of Shadbolt, so that gives him the victory in the championship. And there we go, there's Shadbolt coming in for a nice little pirouette alongside him, and didn't collect him as Armstrong returns to doing the American policeman's favourite, some nice donuts. We've got that Ben Brody coming across the line in his Ferrari there, taking 8th place overall and the win as well within the category. So that's within Pro-Am, isn't it, Nick? And Sean Joe looks like he'll be coming in 2nd place within category. Just takes a little bit of while, obviously, to wait for the drivers to come across the line. Obviously, once we've had everyone cross the line, we'll start to tot up the championship points, and we'll have the brilliant promo video for the Porsche Cup Challenge that's coming up. That'll be run on a Sunday night, and I believe you're going to take the commentary for that one, Nick, as well.
Yeah, I'll be covering the Porsches on a Sunday night at the moment. That's the current plan of action. So yeah, looking forward to that. The heat racing will be a very interesting format to witness compared to what we used to obviously in these GT3 races that we normally have on every other Sunday. So I believe on the next round of the GT3, Tim, that'll be your lovely voice that our viewers will be hearing as well, and that's going to be covered obviously over the course of another kind of 6 races as we have done before.
Yeah, so that'll be the new league will be following the officials. Obviously, after the race tonight, which is pretty much ended, the recruitment, the options to sign up opens up to everyone. If you're umming and ahhing and not sure about it, have a look back at some of the previous races. We've had some brilliant racing, and it's such a great league to be a part of. We've seen some absolute great action. And yeah, it's a bit weird, Nick. Well, other than maybe a few other ones, going to be ad hoc. But this is the end of myself and me for potentially for GT3 together, because I
Yeah,
think you're potentially looking at driving next season.
quite possibly. I think we've got a lot of people obviously interested in the league at the moment. So there is radicals to bear in mind. So I think that might be
Oh,
where
of
my
course.
focus goes on the Thursday nights, possibly from from now on. Tim, as we're going to be following all of the official races, which could keep it nice and fair. Everybody giving people plenty of chance to get some real world race experience in the weeks leading up to each of those races. So that should be some fantastic action. We saw some great racing. And the radicals, one of the first ones that we were covering actually with
It
commentary. In
was.
fact, we covered one of those radicals. I had a drop week where we covered that together, didn't we?
Yeah,
That
that
was
was our
great
first
fun.
one together, wasn't it? I think, wasn't it?
I believe so, or might have been just after Spa, possibly. Either way, we had Spa in the GT3 final, wasn't it? For season one was one of our first ones together, and then also the Radicals as well. So yeah, well, we look forward to whatever we get up to next. We got the Race of Champions that we'll be covering as well, I believe, on June the 12th.
Yes, that's going to be absolutely brilliant. It's heat racing, 3 laps, from people that have won the Community League, which takes part on a Saturday night, and also the winners of each of the categories as well from our various leagues have all been invited. And that's going to be a fun-filled evening where there's heat racing so it's 3 laps across a short layout, track to be announced, I believe, still. It's going to be take part in the Ford Mustang. And oh no, I've just been told it has this. Hockenheim is on the short B track, so I think that's right about, from memory, about a mile and a half long. So be filled with action. It's bound to be that. And so yeah, 5 drivers take to the track for 3 laps, I believe, and the winner and runner-up then qualifies for the final at the end of the evening, where we declare our race of champion and almost a champion of champions, Nick.
Absolutely, you'll have the golden crown of iRacing UK to wear upon your head every day. The pride of being top of the tables, best of the pile. So we do have some random heats obviously in there, which means it really could be anybody at some point. So we'll see what comes through, Tim. It'll be an interesting evening of racing that will unfold. Now we've still got a couple of the guys out on track at the minute. Looks like we've still possibly got Ant Franklin just come over the line. I think we've got Colin Wynn, Damien G, Trev
Yeah.
Davis, Steve Masters, and Chris Edisford. They're also just waiting for, which will then give us our final results for the evening.
Obviously, yeah, Chris said not. I think based on where he's about on the track, he's going to be coming onto the. Going to be onto the straight now, so it'll be hurtling down there in his Audi. Looking forward to coming and taking the checkered flag. So that's Trevor Davis. He's across the line along with Colin Wynn and Damien G. Steve Masters and Esford. Looks like they'll be coming across the line together, Lambo and Audi driver respectively. In here we. No, I got a bit excited then ahead of myself. Thought the results were coming up. Not quite yet.
No,
And
still just waiting for the guys at the moment by the looks of it.
here we go. Well, it can't be too far. There we go. There's the Lamborghini of Masters. We can see just in the distance. And here comes Mr. iRacing UK
Chris
himself.
Edisford, there he goes.
The man where the community started off. Went round about in October last year, and what a community it's become in such a short space of time. Grown from a few friends and trying to find a safe place to create some league, and then obviously now up to nearly 1,000. So these are the standings overall. Nick, do you want to take us through these of where the runners and riders game?
Yep, here are your race results for the evening. So as we've already kind of alluded to, we've got John Hitchin there at the top, and we've got Nick Prince, Cy Anthony, Alberto Gravilli, James Armstrong in fifth, followed by Charlie Bebb, Aidan Shadbolt, Dave Lowson, Sean Joe, Lee Green, Steve Hughes, Rob Armstrong, Steve Olden, Neil Smith, Murray Luca, Ant Franklin, Colin Wynn, Damien G, Trevor Davis, Cy Bell in 20th, and then Stephen Master in 21st. We're going to go and have a look at the individual sections now. So there's John Hitchin, Nick Print, Alberto Gravilli, James Armstrong, Charlie Bebb, Aidan Shadbot, and Tim Derricott. Your numbers 1 to 7 there in the Pro Series. Now, James is ahead of Aidan there. Obviously, you can see, which does mean that he has won the championship for the pros. So that's a great result for James and very well done to him, even after those incidents. Here's the pro-ams with Damien G, Cybel, Stephen Masters in third. That's your podium for the pro-ams. And then you've got Chris Edisford, Don Roberts, Gary Bacon, Stuart Bickley, and Bradley Hulse. Bradley, we saw have a few incidents this evening, unfortunately. And we've also seen the same from the likes of Don Roberts. Now, look at the AMs. These guys really helped us pack out the grid tonight with a whole host of their guys maintaining a bit of attendance here. So we've got Cy Anthony, Dave Lowson, and Lee Green as your top three. Great race. We saw a lot of action from Dave Lowson on the cameras this evening. We saw some great angles of him making his way through the pack and having some great fights with other guys on the circuit. Rob Armstrong, Steve Olden, Murray Luca, and Colin Wynn in 5th, 6th, and 7th, followed by Gary Truby, Tom Carroll, Carrick Stonehouse, Tom Farrell, Chris Hitchin, and Dave Norman. And then last but not least, our rookie Sean Joe, who we saw some really great racing from this evening, a bit of damage on his car and a couple of incidents. But there's Steve Hughes, Neil Smith, and Franklin is only McLaren on the circuit. And then Trev Davis, a great performance from Trev Davis in 5th there. Really great to see the performance improve from Trev over the course of the season. A really great grower of a driver. And then we've got Ben Brody in 6th and Rob Sanford in 7th. Some unfortunate incidents for Rob, but at least he had Team Sanford here to cheer him on this evening. And then in 8th, we have Mark Cadmore.
Well, Nick, so the only league we needed to confirm winners on, I think, was the pros, which is that's off. Well, we know now that's gonna be that is obviously James Armstrong, obviously Aidan Shadbolt. We knew already ahead of the race he was already crowned champion. Dave Lowson, what a result from him. I know he's going to be really, really happy with that one, coming in second within category. And he's, obviously you mentioned about Trevor Davis, growing throughout the league in terms of, their performances. And David Lowson, he's been another one. He dubbed himself the most unlucky man in iRacing, and I know we've seen a few
incidents. It was true
where,
in Interlagos, wasn't it? With that incident.
Yeah, and Spa as well.
Yeah, you're right.
A couple of coming together, which where he was just collected in other people's accidents, and what a great way to round out the season for him to come in seconds in that iconic Ghostbusters liveries that he runs on absolutely all of his cars.
Okie dokie. So I want to say a big thank you to TrackCams22 for these fantastic angles that we've had this evening. Now we're going to go over to the Porsche Cup promo video for you now, viewers. So enjoy this. Here it is for you.
go. So, what a brilliant video there. Obviously, the Porsche Cup. Thank you, Jack Ward _4. Thank you for your follow, and thank you for everyone who's subscribed and followed tonight. It's just brilliant, and yeah, great to see you guys coming back more and more, and all of our regular viewers that have joined us throughout season 2 for GT3. What a great season it's been. We were saying earlier in the race, myself and Nick, obviously, about some of our favourite moments from within the championship, which we've seen some absolutely brilliant racing all season long, different tactics playing parts, incidents, drama, and some brilliant performances from all of our drivers across all of the categories. But Nick, I believe that the top threes are in for each of the championships. Do you want to run us through each of those?
Yeah, so just a great little running there, like you just said, from all of the guys. So for our AMs, we want to say a big congratulations to Hitchin, and Mr. Anthony and Mr. Wynn, our top 3 there. And then in the Pro-Ams, we had Norkett, Roberts and Bickley in the top 3. And then obviously Mr. Armstrong, Hitchin and Nick Print, some of our runners at the front of the pros as well. So fantastic running from all of these guys. We had Mr. Sanford, Mr. Joe, and Mr. Brody as our front 3 in the rookies as well. So congratulations to all these guys for coming out on top of their various divisions. This has been a fantastic set of races that we've had to see here. We've got to see here in the GT3 Season 2 league. So big thank you to all of the drivers and obviously all of you viewers out there on Twitch who have been there to listen to me and Tim talk about all of the racing that we've got to see on these Sunday nights.
And also, not to mention our high quality banter and jokes, which have not been dodgy or conspicuous at all, Nick. But yeah, so just to sort of recap, obviously, if you'd like to join the community, head across to our Facebook page, which is facebook.com/iRacing UK. You'll see links to that throughout the stream, thanks to the stream elements bots. Obviously, thank you to the guys over at trackcams22.com who've given us these great angles throughout the whole season long to show you some absolutely brilliant footage. Thank you to all of the drivers, to producer Sean, who's put together some absolute magic and given myself and Nick and the drivers this great platform to bring you some brilliant racing. Obviously, as I mentioned, if you'd like to join the community Facebook, but also we're on Instagram and Twitter. You can find us if you search for IRUK_team. Obviously, all the races are shown. You can find them on our Twitch channel, but also on YouTube as well, where you can pick up obviously the previous GC races, but also from action from our Radical League, Skip Barber, and F3 leagues as well. So I think that just leads us to it as Nick, and that's it. It's over and done with for another season.
That's your lot. Good evening, viewers. It's been emotional. Thank you very much from Sean, Tim, and I for your ears, your eyes, and your subscribes. So one final thank you from us, and we'll see you in 2 weeks for Porsche Cup action.
Thanks so much. Good night.